Space, Chris.
Welcome to Coffee Talk. I feel like I feel like this is a new ABBA cover.
That could be good.
Yeah, right?
Good morning, friends. Welcome to Coffee Talk. And we talk and we have coffee. And
Genius naming.
We're off to a great start because it's Christmas. It's Christmas season. It's Christmas week. Is this technically Christmas? No, it's leading up to Christmas week. Isn't next week Christmas week?
It's been Christmas month.
Break week. We'll say next week is Christmas week. So we're almost there. You almost made it. Finish this week strong. You can do it. By the time this comes out, you'll be way past all that anyway. So
I'm sorry. Today feels like April. I get outside, walk the car. I'm what month is it?
Yeah,
7 degrees. The sun is out.
Sun is shining.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. We'll take it. So glad you're joining us this morning. Thank you so much for those that were able to join us this last Sunday in church and be able to experience the kids' morning together. It was a really fun morning.
Oh, yeah.
And we were able to hear from them and just a really cool, interesting story. Like we said, it's not quite the biblical story. It kind of, like Jeff said, what did you say? It's a creative retelling, right? And I think sometimes to get a better grasp of it, sometimes we actually, add that little bit, and it changes our perception of it. But yeah, and then Jeff read through the Christmas story, and what a joy that was. And so, in light of all of that, my question for us to kind of just get things started a little bit, because there's a moment in the play that I kind of want to point us to. Does God sometimes, so quite often when I'm texting somebody and I text something that's probably going to be fairly obvious, and I often start it with, this is a dumb question, but, and then I say the thing. So does God ever ask dumb questions? Maybe not dumb questions, maybe obvious questions.
So yes and no, almost exclusively no. But here's why. I think, yes, obvious questions, right?
Yeah.
I think God asks a question, and it's not always for the listeners. I think it's more for the listener to evaluate the answer.
Yeah.
So God says things like, where are you standing, as an example, and you go, well, that should give us the pause to go, well, where am I standing? You could say the obvious thing, I'm on the stage, but it's no, wait a minute, where am I?
Yeah.
And so when those, I think most good teachers ask obvious questions for the benefit of not them, not because they need to know the answer, but for the benefit of the student, the one who they ask the question of, to go.
Yeah.
And we often miss the opportunity because we just give the easy answer. Oh, Jesus. And we move on, and we're not actually thinking about what is. So when God asks what we might be tempted to say is a dumb question, it's actually should be a moment of pause for us to go, okay, and actually think through that answer.
Yeah.
And maybe it is really obvious, but then why?
Yeah.
And that should lead us into a deeper thinking. Because I think you have probably something on your mind as an actual live example that you could look at. But
Jeff, do you feel like God sometimes asks obvious questions?
I like what you just said. It makes me realize that God is just very personal to the person in front of him. So like Adam and Eve, they're hiding, and God's like, where are you? But
even before that, where are you?
Yeah, it's kind of
like he doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly. But it was for them. It makes me remember, I took some training on coaching, and coaching is really asking the right questions. And so I was trying to compile a list of good questions, and one coach said to me in my training, it depends on the person, and it depends on the situation. And so that really helped me. Questions are always so personal, and God knows exactly what the person needs. And so we read it, and it's that's a dumb question. Of course he knows where they are in the garden, right? But it was for their benefit, and that's what you said, and I really like that. So
So there's a moment in the play where there's a couple of moments, but there's a moment in the play where this child who he sees all these people bringing gifts, and he has this song and this wonderment, like they have gifts to bring, and they're bringing him wool, which isn't necessarily biblical, but then the kings bring, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and there's this thought of everybody kind of brings gifts to a king, which like you would think would be kind of obvious. That's just what was done in those days, which makes sense how the kings or the magi brought those gifts to Jesus. But then later on, right after that, the merchant says something to this child that God will reveal, or God will put in your hand, right? And right away, that led me to Exodus chapter 4, verse 2,
right.
where Moses is kind of like, he's at the burning bush and he's kind of being challenged because God is saying, I need you to go. You're going to be my guy. And Moses is kind of giving these excuses or just feeling very not sure. And God asks what feels like a bit of a dumb question, or what feels like an obvious question. See, I keep saying dumb, but it's obvious. God asked this of Moses. Then the Lord said to Moses, "What is that in your hand?" Right? And I think that was so much more for Moses' benefit. And I think on top of that, not only is it the fact that what is in your hand, what have I put there? I need you to go and take that, and I need you to use it for my honor and glory. But not only that, I'm going to use something, whatever is there. What have I given you? We're going to do something amazing with that. Okay, throw it on the ground. Look at that, now it's a stick. Now pick it up. Look at that now. Yeah, snake, stick, snake, right?
Yep.
And I just felt like in the play, when there was that moment and the merchant says, God will put something in your hand. God will show you what you can and could and maybe should bring, because you're a child who doesn't have much of anything, and all of a sudden picks up this drum and puts it in the child's hand, right? And that's where I think that Catherine K. Davis had that kind of idea of, I'll play my drum for him. I have nothing else to do. I'm a poor boy too. What can I give? There's nothing for me to give, but he's put this in my hand. I'm going to use that for his glory, right? And it gave me this beautiful picture of Moses standing there and saying, "Oh, he put this in my hand. Well, this is a very obvious thing."
It's really good.
Sorry, in my head, all I'm thinking of is if you pit Silent Night against Little Drummer Boy, and it's like the two cannot coexist.
There's a few memes that said, like, what's the best thing after a child has been born and Mary is just so worn out. I know. How about this child shows up and plays a drum, for this sleeping baby? And
That's right.
Yeah.
Just what every new parent of a newborn wants.
Yeah.
A drum.
Yeah. So it kind of just challenges me, and I hope it challenges you that God will use anything, whatever is in your hand, whatever is in front of you this week, whatever you're facing in your work or in your family or in anything in the Christmas season. God's going to take that and use it, and He's going to kind of say, what's in your hand? Okay, let's use that to glorify my name. And sorry.
No, I was just going to say, because what that leads me to, and that's a great thought, Kevin, is another song our kids did in a different drama from past, right? The Look What Our God Can Do.
Yeah.
And it's not really about the item. It's about what God is going to do with that thing. And with through the giver, who's, like, it's not really about whatever the gift is we have for God. Like, what are we going to do? What can we possibly offer Him except everything? And then He's going to do something amazing with it. So, thank you for leading us there.
And so we hope you are encouraged by that, and that you have been encouraged by this series, the Songs of Christmas, and it encourages you to just give glory to God and burst out in song, either vocally or actually just in the way that you live, in the way that you care for others,
I heard a sermon one time, actually it was in seminary, when we were all students and we were told to write a sermon on a significant passage. And one of my classmates, his sermon was "My life is a song," and I've thought of that a lot. And so that just goes with what you said, like offer our life as a song to Him, right?
I wrote a song in college called "The Song of Life," which is God used my life as an opportunity to sing your melody. And,
that's really good. That's exactly it.
It's great.
Yeah.
Some of us would do that and it'd be entirely off key.
Yeah, I didn't write the song. I just heard the sermon.
Could be your sermon too.
Can you sing that song for us?
God takes.
It wasn't that great. The idea was sound, but yeah. So be encouraged, and as we look forward to this coming weekend, we invite you to join us Sunday morning. We are going to be gathering here on Sunday morning, and we will have another song of Christmas, and we'll celebrate on Sunday morning, and then kids were kind of out, getting their costume changed and everything during part of the sermon last week. They'll be out in kids ministry this coming week, right?
Yeah, this Sunday morning will be kind of a normal morning for kids ministry. And by normal I mean like part of the worship in here with everybody else, and then we'll head down the hall for our regular as it can be when it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
I have no illusions about having like a great, impactful theological lesson with them. It's going to be contain the chaos. But that'll be our morning. It'll be kind of normal morning in kids ministry. In the evening, though, for the evening service, which I'm sure you'll remind everyone the time of in a moment, there will be the nursery available, so that if you're coming, whether you have young ones your own or you're bringing guests with you, there will be that ministry available for the evening. The nursery, yeah. And so you can look forward to that because it is a night where we do have a lot of extra guests, and as much as I think a lot of us enjoy, I think all of us enjoy having the whole family and every generation together. Sometimes it's just nice to be able to let them be themselves in a space that's more
So what ages?
welcoming. That will be newborn, and I say that because I know one of the nursery workers would love nothing more than holding a newborn all night. Newborn through, I don't know. Sometimes we stretch it on Christmas Eve, but like 4-ish, kind of pre-K is what it would normally be, and I think that's good to leave it at that. Great. Whatever the ages we normally have on Sunday mornings.
So that's what's happening in the nursery. Jeff, can you tell us about what's happening that night, or even just tell us about that night?
So we're having a candlelight Songs of Christmas. So this will be our last Songs of Christmas in our series. We will be singing together, and we will hold a candle and light a candle at some point and sing by candlelight. And so it's a little more participatory and more about singing the songs of Christmas. So, yeah.
All the more reason to have nursery care, because we can picture what will happen with toddlers running around with candles. Fire extinguishers are standing by.
There is something special about
there is.
Great,
Totally.
5 and up, parentally handled.
Supervised, yes.
Supervised is the word. With a candle, it just brings them into it.
It invites so much awe and wonder. And let's be clear, most kids are intimidated to hold a candle anyways. They might think it's cool, but they're a little nervous of it because nobody really wants to get burned. But it does create an atmosphere, I think, of wonder. That's wonderful.
It is, yeah.
So that's our celebration on Sunday night, and that's our Christmas Eve celebration, and then...
Sorry, that's 6:30, correct?
6:30, Christmas Eve, and please bring friends and family and neighbors and whoever is interested in coming. And then following Sunday is another regular Sunday on December 31st, and we will gather together and kind of a quote-unquote regular Sunday.
Well, and I'll add, children's ministry won't be regular that week. There won't be a class for kids down the hall. The nursery will be open, hopefully staffed, but we're still working on that. But yes, just so that families are aware, There will be something in the service. Kids can grab an activity page or something at the back of the room and find a seat.
Even for the next few weeks, you know, some of the things are paused. So life groups, you know, have been kind of paused for the Christmas season, and some of the ministries kind of are paused because everybody's going to either be away or with family or something like that. That includes youth as well too, for the next few weeks. So once everybody's kind of back in school, that's when youth is back on, and probably when life groups will meet back up. But you can connect with your life group leader on that. And so blessings on you. Have a wonderful Christmas Eve by the time we see you, and have a great week.